Wonder Woman issue 65. G. Willow Wilson and Jesus Marino on the art. So yeah, so Kale's suing Wonder Woman for interfering in her own soldier's private business. Her soldier being Nemesis, of course.
Which understanding, but then when you find out what happens, it's like, oh geez, this is a wicked web we weave.
Yes. So we hear basically just people in the news talking about it, and Wonder Woman's pissed about what she's found out from last issue about her home being gone and everyone going. And do you know what I liked about this is Aphrodite kind of theorizes, and I like that this is just a theory, but she theorizes that because Themyscira existed to House Ares, if he killed himself, he might have created a paradox. Yeah. And that's what's caused what's happened with everyone being jettisoned and like the Olympus and Themyscira being gone. And what I thought was interesting is that, and she points this out, is that, hey, don't fear for all your loved ones from Themyscira. Like, because of me and like the other mythical creatures showing up, there's good enough reason to think that they've popped up somewhere, that they've went somewhere, they've not just disappeared. So I like that, but Diana wants to find Nemesis and find out what's going on with her, because she can't fight a war on two fronts, so she wants to try and deal with the Kale problem first. So she goes off and finds where Nemesis is hiding, and I love this section of the book. Obviously, we said last issue that Jesus' art is good, but not obviously the weaker than the Zermanico and Nord that we've had before. But I do think this art in this issue was better than last issue, and I loved all the stuff her in the cave, looking through and finding Nemesis.
It was really up and down for me. Some pages were really rough looking. Other pages were really... I felt like the action ones were a lot better.
No, I'll agree with that. Like, I think the stuff when she's talking to Aphrodite at the start is a bit more shaky.
Steve holding his hand at his neck like he's clutching at pearls. I'm like, where'd that direction come from? Because I like to think that Wilson is a better writer than to have him go like, why I never, So, yeah, there's some weird posing stuff, but yeah, the action sequences are really good. Like the stuff with Nemesis, I enjoyed.
Yeah, all the build up, her going through the cave and picking up the photo. I liked all that stuff a lot in the art. But she finds Nemesis, and Wonder Woman basically realizes, wait a minute, Kale's not got you trapped. You've got her trapped. I mean, Kale doesn't know this. Kale thinks she's got Nemesis under her thumb, but Nemesis is really manipulating things because she bites Wonder Woman. Right in the arm, and like then at the very next page, Wonder Woman starts like talking about how angry she is, and Ares, it's his fault he took his own life and destroyed the world. He will pay for it. I will make him pay. She starts getting very vengeful, and she realizes what's happening. She's like, wait a minute, you've infected me with your power, if you will, your poison, which is basically hatred and as the name would imply, rivalries, because Nemesis. So she realizes this, and she goes off to try and talk to Kale, and Kale is done talking to the press or whatever, and she comes in, and Wonder Woman tries to tell her this, and she hugs her. And I actually really like this moment. How did you feel about this, where she just hugs Kale, and Kale at first is like, "Oh God, what are you doing?" And
Get away from me.
Yeah, and then she breaks down, and starts crying. She's like, "I just want her to be safe." Of course, talking about her daughter who disappeared with the mascara. So.
And I like that, again, it's Wonder Woman's compassion that shows through. And it's like, hey, Veronica, I know you think you're in control of this, but you're not. She's controlling you. Did she bite you? She's like, well, yeah, it happened, but I got a rabies vaccine. It's fine.
Yes,
oh. The pacing that Wilson uses here, I really enjoyed.
No, it's great. And I think the other thing is one of the complaints that maybe had a little bit last issue is that she feels a bit more Lex Luthor than usual. And I feel like this kind of fixes that she was under the influence of this Nemesis. Yeah.
Right.
It works.
So yeah, I like that. And I also liked what they're doing with the idea of them all being refugees now. Because I think Aphrodite says that. It's like, well, if we have no homeland, we have to make it here. And now we have all the she talks about the mythological creatures that are out there making a way for themselves. So yeah, I like what they're doing with that, and I like that Diana and Kale right now have like this ceasefire, if you will, or a truce.
Yeah, because she agrees to call off the lawsuit, and she's I want to go find where your daughter is and where everyone is, but I can't do that if I'm tied up in court. And she's like, all right, for now I'll call it off. I'm watching in case you pull anything, Wonder Woman, because she still doesn't trust her because she's Veronica Kale, but she's like, no, go find my daughter, and she's got tears in her eyes, and I'm like, no, I kind of love this. So Wonder Woman and Aphrodite agree to go off together and try and find everyone. So Aphrodite summons a magical swan.
Swan, because that is one of her
Yeah.
one of her symbols.
Which does have the stars inside it as if it's like a
Constellation.
Yeah, I like that touch. Because that final panel is actually really pretty, where they're flying off and it's just like it's like space at night inside the shape of like them, but they're against the sun. So they're off to try and find everyone. You know, it's funny. I actually really like this issue. I think Wilson's killing it. Like I think so far I've been really into this run, and I'm liking where the plot's going. I think any problems I had last issue, which wasn't a lot to be honest, I think this issue actually kind of, in retrospect, made them all work better, because the revelation that she's under the influence of something made it all kind of click, and I was like, oh, okay, this all makes sense.
Yeah, and they're starting by looking for one of Aphrodite's kids, and at first they think it's gonna be Eros, who's Cupid, but it's another one. Ada, I can't even.
Yeah, I couldn't pronounce it. She gave two names for him. I couldn't do it.
I have it right here in front of me. Atalantiades.
Yes.
So that's who they're looking for, which also is the god Hermaphroditus. So should be interesting to see where G. Willow Wilson takes that. Because she's not afraid of hitting social issues in superhero comics.
Definitely not.
So,
yeah, if we're getting to ratings for this one, I think like the art's better, a little bit better than last issue, but it is up and down. If the art was better, I'd probably be going as high as Action. I think as it is, I'll probably go with an 8. But I think it's a really good story.
Yeah, I think you liked it more than me, so I'll give it a 7.5. I still enjoyed it, but yeah, the art really got. And I don't want to sound like Connor here, but
I don't want to sound like Connor.
Yeah, the art kind of got in my way in certain spots, and it distracted me. But I do like where the story's going. Like, as soon as it turned that Kale wasn't as control as she thought she was, that made everything from the last issue I didn't like, come into full focus. So.
Yeah, it just clicked in place, yeah.